Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a brand new story to share with you, so let's begin. My name is Brandon, and I want to talk to you about something that changed the way I see myself, relationships, and how much of yourself you should ever give to someone who doesn't really see you. A couple of months ago, I walked away from someone I truly loved. I left after seeing a TikTok post she made with a demeaning caption and a few emojis. But the truth is that the post wasn't the whole story. It was just the last straw. A final, very public sign that I had been ignoring too many private ones. Before I dive into what happened, I want to ask you to go ahead and like this video. And if it hits home, feel free to share it. I'm telling this because I know there's someone out there who might be in a similar situation, loving someone, making excuses for them, hoping they'll treat you better, and ignoring the warning signs because you don't want to lose them. So yeah, the TikTok post's caption hurt, but that's not where this started. Let me take you back to the beginning. Because when it started, it felt like the best thing that ever happened to me. We met during a group trip. I had just gotten out of a relationship that took a lot out of me, emotionally and mentally. I wasn't sure if I was sad because it ended or because I stayed so long in something that wasn't working. I wasn't exactly on this trip to make memories or meet people. I was there because my friends thought it'd be good for me to get out, get some sun, be around people again. But honestly, I wasn't present. I spent most of the time staring at my phone, scrolling aimlessly, not really connecting with anyone. I was the quiet one in the corner, just drifting through the whole experience. That's probably why she noticed me. Her name is Quinn. She was the complete opposite of how I was feeling at that time. She had this presence, always laughing, making people feel alive. So, when she walked up to me, I thought maybe she needed something. But instead, she just started talking. She asked me why I looked sad and wasn't joining the games. She went on to cheer me up. I don't know what made us drift away from the rest of the group that night, but we did. It started as a short walk to get some air, and somehow, that turned into hours of conversation. I told her things about my last relationship, how I felt like I had poured everything into it and still came up empty. She didn't interrupt. She just listened, and that meant everything. That night was the beginning of something I didn't expect. We kept in touch after the trip. We talked often, sometimes about deep stuff, sometimes about stupid things that didn't matter. It all just flowed naturally. Over the next few months, we became close. And eventually, we started dating. It felt good, like maybe the mess I came from was just something I had to walk through to find something more balanced. Being with her brought some kind of light back into my life. It felt like we were bringing two different worlds together. She was a year older than I. Where she was fire, I was water. And for a while it actually worked. We balanced each other out. She made life feel less heavy. I helped her slow down and think more deeply about the things around her. In the beginning, that contrast felt like magic. We'd laugh at how different we were. She'd call me Grandpa when I wanted to stay in and read. And I'd joke about how she needed to stop oversharing with strangers in line at the grocery store. It was lighthearted, playful, and I honestly thought that kind of chemistry was rare. But somewhere along the way, some of the things that made us work started to shift. There were moments where she turned something I told her in confidence into a joke. I will just sit there, not sure what to do. She will look at me and say, "Relax, babe, I'm just playing." But it didn't feel like a game to me. It wasn't just once. It kept happening. The things I shared because I trusted her started showing up in her stories, jokes, and sarcasm. And every time I tried to bring it up, she'd laugh and tell me I was being too sensitive. I felt that it wasn't that big of a deal. But it confused me, because how can someone who says they love you make you feel small in front of others? Still, I stayed because I cared and wanted the relationship to work. Isn't that what people do when they really care about someone? After almost 2 years of being with Quinn, I started seriously thinking about proposing. I wasn't just caught up in the idea of love. I had a plan. In my head, it went like this. I'd ask her to marry me, we'd get through a quick engagement, and then we'd move out of state together. Somewhere bigger, with better opportunities. I'd already started looking at jobs and places where the pay was higher and where I could really build something stable for both of us. But here's the thing. The more I imagined that future, the more I started looking at her with awareness. I started noticing the little things. I didn't want to propose just because I loved her. I wanted to know she was on the same page, that she saw me in her future the same way I saw her in mine. So even after I bought the engagement ring, I didn't jump straight into the proposal. I held back. I started testing the waters, in a way. I'd bring up marriage in conversations, mention moving away, and talk about job offers that would mean starting fresh somewhere else. I wanted to see how she reacted. One needs to know the person they're choosing is also choosing them. I started slipping marriage into conversations just to feel her out and see her response. But every time I did, her reactions weren't encouraging. She didn't shut me down directly, but the things she'd say stuck with me in a weird way. She'd laugh and throw out comments like, "You better make more money first. I love an expensive life," grinning face with sweat. At first, I laughed too. I thought she was joking. Another time, I brought it up a little more seriously, asked what she thought about us getting married eventually. She tilted her head, smiled, and just said, "You're not rich enough to marry me." Then she laughed, like it was a throwaway line. The thing is, her face was smiling, but I couldn't tell if it was a joke or the truth hidden in one. That's what messed me up. It left me feeling like I was trying to build something she didn't even see. I started replaying things in my head, like the little comments she made about money or lifestyle. The times she brushed off things I said that mattered to me. And then I thought about the sacrifices I'd made because I loved her. An example is a job offer my uncle gave me, but I didn't take it because it would have meant moving away. And she'd made it clear she didn't want to leave her family behind. So I stayed. I chose her over the offer. And hearing her joke about me not being rich enough hurt me. One quiet evening, I had just gotten home from work, kicked my shoes off, and was lying on the couch. With my phone in hand, I decided to scroll through TikTok, killing time. The first thing I saw was a new post for my girlfriend. She looked stunning, as always. It wasn't the photo that got my attention. It was the caption written below it. "Dating down builds character." And there I was, in the background of the photo. At first, I didn't know what to think. My brain tried to make excuses for her. Maybe it was just a trend, or she didn't mean it the way it sounded. But then I scrolled down to the comments. That's when the punch landed. "Girl, you're so real for this loudly crying face, loudly crying face. Not you dating down and owning it LMAO. Wait, are you actually dating down?" And then I saw her response, laughing emojis. Something inside me cracked. This wasn't a joke anymore. This was what she thought of me. Or, at the very least, what she was okay letting the world think of me. I remember just sitting there in silence. She's beautiful. I won't lie, and people admire her online and in real life. Guys hit on her all the time. So it made me wonder, did she feel like she could have done better? Did she think being with me was her taking a step down in life? Did she stay because it was convenient, or because she liked having someone who would bend over backwards for her? It hurt thinking about it, but at least now, I wasn't pretending anymore. The TikTok post didn't start the problem. It just revealed what was already there. At some point, that hurt turned into anger. I was angry at myself for ignoring the signs, for staying in a situation where I felt disrespected and undervalued. That night, I left the house and walked into the first bar I could find. I needed something to drown out how I felt. I ordered a drink, then another. By the time I got to my third beer, something just clicked in my head. I wasn't a victim. I had let this go on. I had stayed. And I was done. I went home that same night, grabbed a few clothes, some basic stuff, and packed them into a duffel bag. The next morning, I turned off my phone, changed my number, deactivated every social media account I had, and disappeared. I moved to Florida and stayed with my cousin. I didn't have a real plan. I just knew I needed distance, space to breathe. I picked up random jobs, anything that gave me a reason to wake up and something to focus on. Little by little, I started feeling like myself again. I didn't know if she tried to reach me. Honestly, I didn't care. Because when someone shows you what you mean to them, the worst thing you can do is stick around hoping they'll change their mind. 3 months passed. I didn't talk to anyone back home the whole time. I needed the distance. Every day, I kept myself busy doing whatever came my way. It wasn't glamorous, but it kept my hands moving and my mind distracted. I didn't check social media once. I didn't ask about Quinn. I figured she'd moved on, probably joking about me in some group chat the same way she did in person. But then I called home. I just wanted to hear from my parents and ask how things were going. We were catching up when my brother suddenly said, "Hey, did you know Quinn's been trying to find you?" I paused, confused. He said she posted something a few days ago, asking if anyone had a way to reach me. Then he sent me a screenshot. I stared at it for a long time. Then I broke my own rule and reactivated my old account, just to look. I went straight to her profile and found out she deleted the demeaning post that made me leave. And not just that one, most of her feed was wiped clean. I didn't know how to feel. A part of me wondered if she finally realized what she'd done. But I also knew that sometimes people only delete things when they get embarrassed, not necessarily because they feel sorry. There was a moment where I thought, should I call her back? I don't know if she regrets what she did. Maybe she does. Maybe she doesn't even know what she did. But I'm not going back to being the punchline. So yeah, that's the story. I know some of you might be wondering if I ever heard from her again, if we talked, if I went back. And the truth is, no, I didn't. And I won't. Not because I hate her or anything petty like that, but because I've come to understand something that took me way too long to see. When someone laughs at your pain, you need to pay attention. I used to think I was being too sensitive. But jokes don't come from nowhere. Sometimes people use humor to say things they don't have the courage to say seriously. And when the things they're laughing about are the same things you cried while telling them, that's not love. That's disrespect dressed up like a punchline. And love? It can't exist without respect. I confused attention for affection. I thought that because she stayed, she cared. But you can stay in a room with someone and still never see them. She saw the version of me that made her feel superior, not the one who was growing, healing, and trying. What I thought was love ended up being manipulation that came in soft tones and pretty smiles. And that's the kind that messes with your head the most. Another hard truth I had to swallow. Never sacrifice your future for someone who won't meet you halfway. I turned down a job offer that could have changed my life. I gave up opportunities so I could be near her. That's on me. I won't lie, that part still stings. And then, silence is an answer. And sometimes, it's the most honest, powerful one. When I walked away, I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I just packed up and left. And in that silence, I found clarity. These days, I'm slowly finding my footing again. I'm not all the way there yet, but I'm getting closer to who I want to be. I'm focused on working, resting, reading, and talking to people who really see me. Dating? Honestly? Not even on the table. I'm learning to be okay with just being me again. And now I'll ask you what you would have done if you were in my shoes. Would you have stayed longer? Left earlier? Tried harder? Walked away sooner? Let me know in the comments. I'm really curious. And thank you if you watched this far.